good morning, and here we are back in the purple chairs to talk everything cars and everything in between. But today is serious, but it's a little bit, it's kind of controversially of what's coming up in Ireland, in Dublin, Ireland, the budgets around BIK for cars and emissions and all that kind of stuff. So we just want to touch in it, and obviously with your feedback we can start a conversation on how it's affecting you, and it's certainly coming into our business life. We're getting a lot of people talking about this on the fleet side, fleet transition side of businesses. Obviously has an impact which we deal with on a daily basis. So anyway, what's happening in January 1st, 23 in Ireland is that they're changing the way BIK is calculated in businesses. BIK, for most people, will know it's just a benefit. If you get a company car, you got to pay for the benefit of having it, a cash equivalent. But what they're doing now, instead of a mileage thing, which it used to be, so is really as much you had a company car, the more mileage you did, the less you paid. But they've changed that now to mileage and emissions, which kind of changes a little bit. And also from our side, the electric car, the reason why, because I remember it was back in
1920. Yeah.
19. So we had been selling a lot of Tesla Model S's, which would have at that time ranged from about 110 grand up to 200 grand. So they were expensive, the Model S.
And some Model X's as well.
And Model X's. But what happened then, because it was free BIK, so people bought them. People always prefer the Model S, it was a bigger car, and the Model X, bigger car, 7 seats. But then in 19 they capped the BIK to 50 grand, which literally, because I remember there was a tranche of cars going out, and say on a Wednesday and the budget was on the Thursday, then people rang, remember, and said, listen, sorry about that, I can't have it. Because suddenly you bought a second-hand Model S for say 60 or 70 grand, and then within that budget, the 50 grand cap of BIK, suddenly you're paying BIK based on 120 grand or 180.
And the new, it's based on the new cost of the
so
car.
overall it just went. So then what the trend we saw was that there was people getting out of E-Class Mercedes, 5 Series BMWs, Audi A6s, into Model 3s purely for BIK, because they get the first 50 grand free. And at that time, through a business, a Model 3 was 55 grand. So effectively, they were paying BIK in just 5 grand a year. So they all just went to it.
Yeah, it was a business purchase. It wasn't done by emotion. I love electric cars. It was done because I'm not paying any BIK on the car. So
it was money. It always is money. As much as we talk about, and the environment is obviously important. It's on everyone's lips at the moment. But at the end of the day, people sitting in their house at the end of a month want as much money in their pocket as possible. So when it comes to paying less tax, that's what they'll do. And that was the real surge in the Model 3, because and they were pretty much the only ones in the game. But what's happening now is that, so from January 23, that 50 grand free BIK is coming down to 35 grand, and then the following year to 20 grand, the following year 10 grand. So it's coming down and down and down and down. Prices of cars are going up and up and up. So it's just one of those interesting thresholds. Now, because on the fossil ICE cars, it's just going to be very expensive.
Well, if you drive it could go up to 30%, 37%.
37, yeah.
So if you're driving a sort of high emission car, you're really going to get hit. Up to 40% more, BIK. So I mean, it's a big chunk.
So I have an example here on not electric car, so your BIK right now today. If your car is worth €37,000 and you do 25,000 business kilometres, and the car is emitting 150 CO2s per kilometre, the BIK for the year is 8,880. On the new regime from January 1st, 23, it's done in bands now, that goes from 8,880 up to 12,500.
Wow.
Which is big. It's a big expense. So there's obviously uproar. And then the commercial vehicles, a lot of people drive caravans, caddy vans and stuff like that, but that BIK has gone from 5% to 8%.
Well, commercially has gone up to 8%, yeah.
So I get it. We knew this was coming down. It's like carbon tax. We knew it was coming down tracks, because everyone wants to go electric, or the government wanted everyone to go electric. But the problem is, you go to electric, A, you can't get them right now, and B, they're a lot more expensive. So suddenly the EV threshold from 50 grand to 35 grand, like the cars are coming, like what do you get? You know, and I'm talking, forget, the quality of car is much better now, I get that, but it's size, family size cars for 35 grand or less is
that really squeezes the car selection down to 35 grand. I think people are quite annoyed because, you know, as you know with BIK, the more mileage you do, the less you pay. And with COVID, people weren't driving anywhere, so they ended up doing less mileage and paying more BIK. And the government were very slow to react to this. I think it took 7 months before they actually responded to it by, you know, relaxing the rules in BIK. But it's just ridiculous, and this is causing quite a bit of an uproar. So I don't know. I mean,
but it has to be done. Like I get why it has to be done, but when people are kind of squeezed, it's almost guilted into, look, you're gonna have to buy an electric car, and but it is significant.
I know, but my reaction to that is that the remit here is to get people into electric cars by 2030. You know, they're still going up. You know, they're reducing them per year up to 20, like it's 10 grand BIK banned in 2025. So, you know, it's not really going in that right direction either, you know, for electric vehicles.
No. But then see, the flip side of that, people will say, oh, well, sure, so you got a free car and free tax, blah, blah, blah. But again, you need it for your job. That's the whole point. And then the other argument would be that I'd love to have an electric car for my business, but I'm a sales rep on the road, or I have to travel to a lot of different destinations in one day. And I can't be stopping off to charge all the time. So there's arguments both sides. That's why your feedback's important to us, because then we'll take it up on another show just to really squeeze it out.
Yeah, no, it is a big topic, and like if you look at the UK, their rates of BIK are 2%, and that's going to stay that way to 2025. So I mean, you know, in comparison, that's quite low. It's a low cost, and that's just on the electric vehicle side. So that's really sort of to push.
And free road tax.
Yeah, free road tax as well on electric vehicles. And something that, you know, maybe it's another subject that we probably, you know, would like more feedback on is the salary sacrifice in the UK. It's big business in the UK for electric vehicles where, you know, effectively the company leases the car and then rents the car out to the employee, and you know, they pay less tax or less BIK, you know, by doing the salary sacrifice. I just don't understand why it's not brought up in Ireland, and it'd be really interesting maybe to get somebody on to talk about that, or, you know, get some messages back from yourself, DM us, or, you know, go onto our website, into our community forums. We'll put up a topic there where we can discuss this. But I'd be very interested to see your feedback on the salary sacrifice, and obviously the comparison to the UK with their BIK rates on electric vehicles.
Yeah, basically is in the UK where the salary sacrifice is you pay it before you pay tax. It's not after tax, which makes sense. And
you pay your gross salary as opposed to your net salary. Yeah.
Yeah, but like we were looking at prices of high-end electric cars at 2%, and it's very little. It's only a few grand a year.
Yeah, it's 1,700 sterling a year on 2% BIK for a 90 grand Taycan Performance Plus, which is one of the higher end cars. And I think with your tax band, I think it's an extra £350. So overall, you're only paying £2,000 a year BIK on a Taycan electric vehicle on a 20% tax band.
Which is great. But again, there's obviously reasons, but it'd be nice to tease out what are the reasons why we're not doing it here. Obviously, a lot of these incentives, they have to be paid somewhere, so we understand that. But in order to get people to, you know, our companies, because we're looking at, and we do it on a daily basis in terms of fleets, like you're getting people to change their fleets to electric, but the upfront cost is more expensive. Now, I know the life cycle of the car becomes cheaper, but now the benefit in kind. So you telling someone that you're driving a Passat now and you're paying a few £100 a month, BIK, you're going to be paying more in an electric car that's more expensive, etc., etc., etc. So
I know, but the thing about the fleet
culture.
transition, one of the sort of blockers we're seeing in fleet transition, especially with company vans, is there's still a little bit of range anxiety, especially on company vehicles, because that's realistically a person getting into a van, you know, that day could be going to the far reaches of the country as part of what they do in the van deliveries or whatever else they do. And you know, we're rolling back to infrastructure, and I know that's a different conversation. That's a different, you know, different day, you know, different, you know, conversation that we can have on this channel. But the infrastructure still needs to be strengthened, needs to be improved, so we can provide that confidence for people to sort of invest more in the electric fleets. So, you know, again, that's another conversation that we need to have about that, around that.
Yeah, but to conclude, I mean, the BIK is a contentious issue now going forward from January 1st, 23 in Ireland. For personally, because at the end of as I said earlier, people care about what's in their pocket at the end of the month. Nothing else matters. And, you know, we always talk about climate change, and I get that, but you have to, when someone, until their feet are on fire, they just think about themselves, and that's just human nature. How much do I have? How much is it going to cost me? Because if you can get people into electric cars and it costs them no more money in BIK, they don't care what they're driving, really. But let us know what you think, because I think it's a subject we're going to be getting a lot more feedback on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have already, not just on a business level, but on a personal level. Yeah, so get in touch, let us know, and we'll definitely be talking about this one again. So have a good day. We will see you soon.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.